Hello everyone, welcome to Manika IAS. Welcome to the daily news analysis session presented to you by Manika IAS. Let us first see the topics that we'll be covering today. So, we will be covering three topics. One is your rare disease. See, yesterday also we discussed about genetical inheritance and recessive and rare traits. So, in addition to that, now we'll be discussing about the policy related to rare disease. What are the rare disease? What are the issues with respect to the rare disease? Okay, so that is one thing. It has relevance with your GS paper 3, Science and Technology, and GS paper 2, Public Health. Second topic that we'll be covering today is a multi-purpose project between India and Nepal. So it is relevant for your prelims because we'll be covering some of the rivers also. So it has relevance for your prelims with respect to your map-based questions. The second relevance is it is relevant for India and Nepal bilateral relationship in your GS paper 2 international relation. The third topic that we'll be covering today is um, early child care. Okay, so these are the three topics that we'll be covering here. We'll be looking into the fundamental aspects of the early childhood care as well as the budget allocations and the issues and need. So it is relevant for your GS paper to social issues as well as polity. Okay, so let's first start with the very first topic, which is your rare disease. See, why we are seeing this rare disease in news, the context being the death of a 19-year-old child actress Suhani Bhatnagar from dermatomytosis, which is a rare disorder. Okay, in which the inflammation in muscle occur, and uh, yesterday, that is 28th February, was also Rare Disease Day. Okay, so that is why today we had this article in news, and that is why we must know what are rare disease. UPSC has already asked, and it might ask again with respect to the rare disease specifically in your mains examination. So we'll be focusing on the definition, on the issues, on the policies and initiative in India, as well as we'll also look forward to the way forward. What is the need that need to be done in order to address the rare diseases? Okay, so the very first thing is we do not have one comprehensive definition of rare disease. But what we know today is, according to World Health Organization, rare disease affect one or less per thousand population. So any disease which is impacting less than one or one person in thousand of per thousand of population, that is categorized as a rare disease. Okay. So another this is something that you can give in your introduction when you are writing about rare diseases. So it says that barely 5% over 7,000 known diseases worldwide are treatable. So if you see 7,000 known rare diseases are there as of now, and out of that only 5% are treatable. That means 95% of the known rare diseases are not treatable as per the present scenario. Okay, and most patients typically receive only basic treatment that elevates symptoms. इसका रीजन सिंपली ये है that it take sometimes 7 to 10 years, that is almost a decade, for a rare disease symptoms to show. Okay, so whenever you have some issues like very slight issues, you generally tend to treat the symptom, but you do not treat the disease because it is unidentifiable for a longer period of time. Okay, so that is one thing. Now let's see the presence of rare diseases in India. In India, one third of the global rare disease incidents are occurring in India. Okay, so if वर्ल्ड के अंदर ग्लोबली यू हैव 100 cases of rare disease. Out of that, 33.3 cases of rare disease are occurring in India, which is a huge number if you see. Okay. And with over 450 identified disease. Okay. And what are the examples of the rare disease widely known as spinal muscular atrophy, Gaucher's disease, and if you see very less known ones are mucopolysaccharidosis and Whipple's disease. So these are the examples of rare disease. You can quote them in your answers. And if you see this data, it is very important because suppose tomorrow you become an IAS officer or maybe somebody who's responsible, who is a officer in health ministry or somewhere else. So you must know the you must know the penetration of such diseases in India. You must know the gravity. You must know the incidence. You must know must have the awareness in order to uh, cater to any scenario which is occurring at that point of time. That is why in general you should know. Further, in exam also you can get a question around this area because it is such a topic that it has already been asked and you might get it again as well. Okay. So about 8 to 10 crore Indians have diseases. Over 75% of them are children. So 140 की population में से approximately 8 to 10 crore people have these rare diseases, and the irony is 75% of them are children. And one of the probable reason of the more occurrence of rare disease is something that we discussed yesterday, which is your endogamy. If you remember, we discussed that what happened for any genome to express, it needs two particular base genome from uh, it should be available in both the strands of the genome, one coming from each parent. Okay. So, and if you want the recessive traits which are rare occurrence, because अगर dominant होगा तो majority population में available होगा, because अगर एक भी transfer होता है, एक भी parent से faulty genome या फिर जो disease carrying कोई genome अगर आता है तो वो express करेगा अगर dominant है. लेकिन अगर recessive है तो it is important कि वो दोनों parents के genome के through बच्चे में transfer हो, and उसको एक्सप्रेशन के लिए चाहिए कि दोनों स्ट्रैंड्स के अंदर वो जिनोम जो डिजीज कॉजिंग जिनोम है वो प्रेजेंट हो, एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ विच दीज डिजीज अक्कर. एंड दैट इज वाई वी से कि रिसेसिव ट्रेट्स है, रेयर डिजीजेज हैं. अब अगर एंडोगेमी है तो चांसेस एज वी डिस्कस्ड कि अगर विद इन द सेम फैमिली या एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली और विद इन द सेम जिनोम पेयर्स, एज वी डिस्कस yesterday 4600 जिनोम ग्रुप्स हैं इंडिया के अंदर. So if you are marrying within your own genome groups, that means the chances of depiction of recessive traits and the rare diseases increase. As a result of which we are witnessing an increase in rare diseases in India, specifically because it is an endogamous society. So we do have 33% of share of world rare diseases in India. Okay. And up it is increasing furthermore, and as a result of it 75% are children. Okay. So less than 50% of the 450 rare diseases identified in India are treatable. So 450 इंडिया में आइडेंटिफाई हुई है रेयर डिजीज, जिसके अंदर से 250 से कम जो डिजीज हैं दे आर ट्रीटेबल. सो कितनी डिजीजेस तो ऐसी हैं जिनको ट्रीट ही नहीं कर सकते हैं, दैट इज वन प्रॉब्लम. सेकेंड थिंग, इट दीज if you talk about issues, they are overlooked disease. See, when you have we had pandemic like COVID-19. Now it was occurring in such a magnum scale that you have no option but to treat it. And then India, we have many diseases, like we are hub for hypertension, diabetes, malaria, tuberculosis. So this is the leprosy. These are the disease which is occurring on a mass scale in India. So naturally the attention is going to these diseases as compared to rare occurrence, because it is a rare occurrence but the numbers in India are relatively higher side. So they have been overlooked so far. But in 2021 we had a policy in place, but we'll be discussing that policy in the upcoming slide. And the second problem is resource constraints. Okay, because we are a developing country, we have to have expenditure in all the dimensions, including infrastructure, education, healthcare, then financial inclusion, and all these things. As a result of which, we a lot of our budget goes into social budget as well. So that is where we do have resource constraints. Third, less awareness, diagnosis, and drug development for rare disease. One thing we have all over world, the R&D across the rare diseases left less. That is why we do not have many treatments available. The diagnosis itself became difficult, as we discussed. Is take a longer period of time to express themselves. Then the third thing is majority of the rare diseases are congenital as well. Not majority, but some of the rare diseases are congenital as well. So that is why what happens is ki, the treatment is also expensive also. Okay, so then further there is a less awareness with respect to rare disease as well. So some, that is why we say the majority of the people, they got symptom related treatment and not the disease related treatment, because the awareness among people in general and also among physicians are less because of the less R&D around this area. Okay, now treatments which are approved by drug controller general of India are available for just about 20 rare disease and can be availed only from center of excellence. Since excellence का number भी center of excellence का भी number भी few है, दैट मीन्स ट्रीटमेंट सिर्फ 12 450 इंडिया में जो डिसीज हैं उसमें से सिर्फ 20 डिजीजेस रेयर डिजीजेस ऐसी हैं जिसका ट्रीटमेंट अप्रूव्ड किया गया है आज तक. ओके okay. और उसका ट्रीटमेंट भी सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस के थ्रू मिलता है, विच आर ओनली 12 इन नंबर इन इंडिया. So we can see ki how then it needs huge amount of penetration, huge amount of inclusion when it comes to health infrastructure, availability of treatment, diagnostic awareness. All these things are extremely important in order to address this menace of rare diseases. Okay, that is why we are saying these are the constraints, these are the issues. Now, another thing is, what are the initiative that has been taken by the government? So the initiative, as I've already told you, is the national policy for rare disease, which came into effect in 2021. However, there was another attempt which was made in 2017 by the same government to bring in the national policy, but it was withdrawn in 2018 itself, owing to the issues such as implementation challenges, confusion regarding disease coverage, patient eligibility and cost sharing, and also definition of disease, as I said. Okay, and that is why we are saying confusion regarding the disease that will be covering under this policy. Now, although they have brought in the same policy again, but these similar issues still remain with the same policy, and in the new policy also the definition is not that comprehensive and it's not clear as well. Okay, so it also said up to 50 lakh is allowed per patient, which will be disbursed to the concerned center of excellence, as rare chronic disease usually require lifelong management and therapy. The amount is also inadequate. This is as per the some of the analysts. Other issues, as we have discussed, there is less R&D, so we have less sufficient data to analyze, and then we do have less funds as well. Now, if you see the budget allocation has been increasing, but it is still less. So it remain at 93 crore for 2023 2024, which if you see, the population that is suffering is 8 to 10 cr, and the allocation is 93 cr, which is very less if you want to give boost to R&D, give have support financially the people, and then you also want to have infrastructure in place, awareness in place. So the budget is extremely less to address the rare diseases. So these are the problem. Now what is needed to be done? So first and the foremost, we need timely and accurate diagnosis. Okay, as we discussed, it takes an average of 7 years for the condition to be diagnosed, if at all. Okay, so that is the if we want to address the disease, we need to have timely and accurate diagnosis, which will require sort of R&D and sort of research that need to go in these diseases to figure out the pattern and everything. So that is one area. Another thing is unawareness among physicians. We have already discussed this thing. Healthcare professional must be trained to improve their diagnostic accuracy. Then another thing is expectant mothers with a history of rare disease in their family. कि अगर किसी की फैमिली में कोई रेयर डिजीज अक्कर हुआ है तो जो उसमें उस फैमिली के जो भी मदर्स हैं who are expecting a child, they should get the screening done, and it should be mandatory prenatal and postnatal diagnosis and care. Okay, prenatal before birth, postnatal after birth. State government must introduce social assistant programs and develop satellite centers under COE, and this will help in inclusive healthcare. बिकॉज आपके पास अवेलेबिलिटी आप बढ़ा रहे हो, ठीक है, तो ट्रीटमेंट विल बी मोर एक्सेसिबल टू द पीपल. नाउ पब्लिक एंड प्राइवेट कंपनीज कुड को ऑप्ट फॉर फंडिंग. जो CSR every company has to give, so you can use that CSR in developing these things. The government incentivize domestic manufacture under production link investing scheme, incentive scheme, and reduce clinical trial requirements. So these are the suggestion which has been given. Clearly, you can write them in your way forward in your answer. It can be your way forward. If you get a question around rare disease, so you must write these points. They'll give you very good marks. Okay, now let's move to the next topic, which is your Pancheshwar Multipurpose project. Okay, so what is this project and why it is in news? So the reason it is in news is that despite of several meetings, and they have already signed the MOU, and I'm talking about India and Nepal because it is a project between India and Nepal. The project is at a deadlock. There is no further development. There are not even talks going on around this project. So that is why it was seen in news. So let's first discuss about the project. So it is a binational project between India and Nepal, as discussed, and with the primary aim is energy production and irrigation enhancement of irrigation facilities in both the countries. It also involved construction of 315 meter high dam across river Mahakali, Sarda in India. Now we will look after this river. This is a transboundary river. Okay. Now it forms a 80-kilometer long reservoir with surface area. This is something which is you don't need to no need to remember. It is just for your general awareness. No need to remember. Okay. इसका कैपेसिटी होगा more than 5,000 megawatts, and it will be among the tallest dam globally. Remember this, not the tallest but among the tallest dam. Okay, as you discussed, objective is energy production irrigation, but the issue is that it can have potential impact on regional ecology and local community. This has been raised by environmentalists. Okay, and now this project is a kind of extension of Mahakali Treaty, which was signed in 1996 between India and Nepal. Okay, now let's see the map. This is your map. Okay, this is India, and there you have Nepal. So in this is your Uttarakhand, and if you see, it is on this border that you have this particular river, and here you are building this ram. This is Mahakali River, and in India we call it Sarda River. Okay, so और जो डैम का साइट है is on the confluence of river Sarju with river Mahakali. So these are the 2 points that you can remember. Confluence of river Sarju with Mahakali. Okay. So it will cover some of the district in Uttarakhand and some of the districts in some of the area in Nepal. So even if you get a question around which of the states, so remember it is Uttarakhand. It is between the Uttarakhand border with Nepal. Okay, these are the points that are important for your preliminary point of view. This is less expected to be asked in your mains answers. So in mains you'll not get a question, but in prelims, on the basis of its geography, you can definitely get a question around this. Okay. So this is the relevance of this particular topic. Now let's move to the next topic, which is your child education. See, in India, when our constitution came in place, there was this provision under DPSPs which suggested the government of India that they must take care of education of children below the age of 14 years. However, later on, when there was this act which came in, which was Right to Education Act. I think it was in 2001. Okay, when with this act, the government added this provision under Article 21A of the Indian Constitution, which is your fundamental right, which make a compulsory education for children between age 6 to 14. However, 0 to 6 were kept, care and education of 0 to 6 were kept out of the fundamental provision, and it still lies under DPSPs. And the reason was the constraint in the resources, which they find is more important to focus on that particular area, which was the primary education 6 to 14. Okay. Now, although government has taken up a few initiatives, but this area is still left out. And now why people are saying that it is important that you focus collectively on all this is because that India is a most populous country in the world, and then this is our time to reap the advantage that we have with us in the form of demographic dividend. Okay, so we have a huge demography, and then our youth is unemployed, not like entirely, but we do have a high unemployment rate. Okay, and then we want to increase penetration of uh, education and jobs. Also, we want to move in direction of skill India and startup India. So that will come from early education itself, where you have to have better, healthy, and educated citizens. And this has to stem from the children because they are the future of the country. Okay. So, what are the issues that we have seen so far? The early childhood education, that is 0 to 6, because it was not a part of fundamental right, it has remained both underinvested and underexplored over the decades. The simple reason, we had resource constraints if we focus on the primary education more, because that had more relevance as compared to 0 to 6. Okay, so the social narrative, if you see, the 0 to 6 key education is and care is primarily associated and is being thought that it has to be provided by the mothers themselves at the home. So वो इतना necessary नहीं समझ आता है, because women are considered as caregivers for the families. So 0 to 6 is considered as a phase where they can get the learning and care from the home, and specifically by the mother itself. So that is why we had 6 to 14. Now this has to change is what has been argued here, and it need institutional and government support for the care and education of people between children between 0 to 6 of the age. Okay, now what is the importance of early childhood education? It is considered as foundation of human development, because as we say that human brain develop maximum by the age of 5 years. So वो सबसे crucial period है for the brain development of child, and that is why it is the beginning, it is the foundation of human development. Okay, and then relevance of human resources, as we know, they are crucial for nation growth. Okay, that is another thing. Then the current focus is on primary education, and it need to be complemented with childhood education. So that is why you need to focus on 0 to 6 as well, apart from 6 to 14. Okay, now let's see what are the current initiatives that government has taken. The government has taken initiative like Nipun Bharat and Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi initiative. So Nipun Bharat is basically national initiative for proficiency in reading with understanding and numeracy. It will focus on improving literacy, numeric ability of children. Okay. And if you see the portion bhi Padhai bhi, it is an initiative of Ministry of Women Development, and it will improve early childhood care and education quality through Anganwadi system. So they will be empowering Anganwadis to impart early childhood care and education. ECC, early childhood care and education. Okay. And if you see the budget allocations, this is another thing for teaching learning materials and upgrading Anganwadis. They are good. In 2023, the outlay was tripled, and it increased from 140 crore to 420 crore per annum, assuming 14 lakh Anganwadi centers catering to India's poorest 8 crore children under 6. So, Anganwadis ke through, the government is trying to target the children of 0 to 6 years of age. And that is why we have seen that there is a 3x rise in the budget allocation itself for Anganwadis as well. Okay. Now, what is the need? So how do you improve? Like, if you want to impart, what is the need? What can be the way forward? So we need research and evidence based policy. We need, first of all, we need a policy, but it has to be evidence based policy which is suitable for the diversity and of India. So there is a need of rigorous research, macroeconomic parameters pe, social implication pe, of early childhood development. Okay. And then if you see global practice, so international researchers from University of Chicago and Yale, they suggested that कि अगर आप $1 इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो तो उसका 13% रिटर्न आता है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इफ यू फोकस ऑन अर्ली चाइल्डहुड केयर. दैट शुड बी योर टारगेट. ओके. But India में we have to have studies with respect to the diversity of India, with respect to the numbers in India. So then we can have a research, a policy which is based and which is tailor made for Indian culture. Okay. If you see the international comparison, Hickman's Perry Preschool provides insight. It's essential that you conduct research to for in which is specific to India. Same point. Okay. And you can take examples of international research which has been taken, but again we have to tailor made it for India. And then you can because we are a huge populous country, and then different we impart different religious education as well. So it will go across all the parameters. So that is why 0 to 6 is a very crucial age of child's brain development. So there, your nutrition matters, your kind of games that you play matters, kind of education, analytical abilities को improve करने के लिए जो impart की जाती है, that matters. So all these things matter, and that is why now it is the right time that you should shift your focus to 0 to 6 as well. Okay, so this was it for today. And if you have any question with respect to today's news analysis, you may ask in the comment section below. And this was it. Thank you. Have a nice day.